Not escape it. It is a problem you may have seen but chosen to ignore. Now, one man has taken it upon himself to do something about it. Welcome in on Tuesday. We have been waiting for this night for a while. Martin sat down for a real interview. No rules, no restrictions. She agreed to answer any and all questions, which probably terrified the people at the county who refused to talk to her because transparency is not a word in their vocabulary. Mary Strong joins us. All right, Mary joins us. The day has come. The county finally made Mary Martin available. Now, I want to start by saying something. Then I want to hear all about it.
Okay, tell me.
We have tried numerous times, Mary has, to set up an extended interview with Mary Martin. The county refused. They would not let us do it. They came up with a bunch of excuses each and every time. Then somebody reported, well, Mary Martin, you can just call her on her cell. We put it online. That's not the way it works. That's a lie. The county wouldn't let her speak. But today she got to speak, and what did we learn?
Well, the county wanted to do a redacted version of an interview of 15 minutes, which is basically just allows me to set up and say hello, and then the interview's over. That doesn't really give us a lot of time to dive into what's really going on here in Riverside County, which is clearly what we needed to do after, what, a year-long investigation. It's a lot longer of a conversation than 15 minutes. Today, we were able to sit down for an hour, which was great. I have to say, Mary Martin was a pleasant surprise, given the fact that my first meeting with Aaron Geddes didn't go very well.
Well, it went slip-sliding away.
She indeed did. Aaron Geddes was very defensive. She said, there's nothing to see here. Nothing is going on. We're not killing thousands of healthy adoptable animals. We don't have to treat them. I mean, it was a scary conversation, to be honest with you. Mary Martin was the complete opposite today. She was very candid, very transparent. She's spending a lot of time talking to rescuers, animal advocates, staff members. She's trying to assess the situation to figure out how she wants to approach this. What I do like is the various counties that she's been in, she's increased the life-saving outcomes, which is good. She does have no-kill experience, which I like. She started out as a vet tech, so she understands that world. I was just very impressed by how candid she really is about Riverside County, her initial assessment of what's happening and what she really wants to achieve here.
Kristen Hassan, what do we know?
Kristen Hassan. Okay, so I actually did ask Mary about Kristen Hassan. She has worked with her before. When I asked, is she really worth $2.5 million in a consulting contract? She said, I don't know if she's worth that, which I'm taking to mean that she really isn't worth that, because in LA she was paid $25,000. The ideas that Kristen is presenting here, they were presented in 2015 by a coalition made of Palm Springs Animal Shelter, Riverside County, and rescue groups here in town. They presented all the same ideas that Kristen is bringing to the table.
For $2.5 million.
Now it's for $2.5 million. When that packet of recommendations is already available, they can access that at any time. So we're now paying $2.5 million for something that was already presented to the county by the county, because the county was included in this coalition. They've had this information for more than 10 years. She's been with the county for a while now. I'm not sure why this big consulting contract. And, you know, it really, honestly, I think it's just a show of we're doing something.
Just a waste of money. Yeah, Mary, a terrible decision.
But why not take that money, maybe increase the capacity of our current shelter?
You think?
And we're paying $250,000 a year. She's got the same knowledge. She's already been doing it. I did talk to her about the Hayden Act, which is
the subject of a lawsuit.
Which is the subject of a lawsuit. So the judge in March said the Hayden Act can in fact be upheld, which is why the Walter Clark Legal Group and the animal advocates are going after the county.
Right.
Mary Martin does agree that animals coming into the shelter should be treated. She also agrees that they need to be keeping proper records, which is kind of like a no-brainer. But she did say, which was good to hear, the systems currently in place it's an antiquated program. She says that it's very difficult to keep proper records.
What about our story in San Jacinto, an uptick in the euthanasia rate as they try to move to a no-kill status?
That's right. So there's a lot of reports going on that these animals were sent straight to euthanasia without being put on the red list, not notifying any networks, which actually wasn't true. So she spent Easter Sunday at San Jacinto going through all the kennels to assess the dogs. This was really, really important to her because she said at that particular shelter, they are now 3 to 5 animals per kennel. And what that's doing is creating infighting in the kennel. And some of the animals have died or been severely injured. So what do? She says, all these animals are coming in. They have a massive influx of animals. Not a lot are going out. Not a lot are being adopted there for some specific reason. I think it's because it's in a really remote area and it's very difficult to go and adopt animals from that shelter specifically. You have to really know about it.
Right.
So she said, we really did not have an option. So it's the system that's really turning these animals, unfortunately, into unadoptable animals. They don't get a lot of exercise. They don't get to go outside a lot. So it's very, very challenging. And then get the overcrowding issue. She said euthanasia is unfortunately one of the tools that they have to use in order to maintain adequate numbers within those kennels.
How is she going to fix all this?
So I asked her that. She said, I'm starting the plan, but first I need to assess. So,
well, why do you need to assess? You have the consultant doing the assessment for $2.5 million.
So she says she's meeting with Kristen regularly on the assessment. But what she really wants to understand is, what does the community want? What do we need to do? She's assessing into, and for example, any good CEO or president or even a manager going into an organization for the first time, their job really is to assess before making any changes. So she said right now she's in assessing mode, and then she's going to move into making changes. I personally would like to give her an opportunity. If she fails at the opportunity, okay, now we have something to talk about here. But I say let's give her an opportunity to see what she can do. It's a massive upgrade from the director that we had in this position a year ago.
Because this one actually knows what they're doing?
Not only does she know what she's doing, but she's candid about it. She's open about it.
Right.
She's willing to say, yes, there is a problem, a very clear problem, and it needs to be addressed, which I like. Now, let's see, can she implement the strategies that she's implemented in other shelters here? And can she build up enough staff in order to accomplish what she wants to accomplish?
All right, we're underway.
We're underway.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So last night in Good Neighbor, Jennifer had a problem. Maybe you have the same issue. Ducks keep landing in her pool and using it as a giant toilet. She wanted help. So 2 good neighbors wrote in. Lily offered 2 recommendations for the neighbor looking for help with the ducks. There's an item called Duck Off on Amazon. Also, she can get a swan or a floaty for the pool. She said, you're welcome. And Ken said he had the same problem in his condo complex. Someone bought a couple of plastic swans and floated them in the pool. Apparently, ducks avoid swans, and we haven't seen any ducks since. Happy to be a good neighbor. And that, my friends, is really how you get your ducks in a row. In more Good Neighbor news, because that wasn't enough, Kathleen wanted to find a reasonably priced notary. Donna has some info. Notary in the state of California can only charge $15 a signature. They can only charge more than that if they travel to your home or your office. If you need multiple signatures, write this down. It could be pricey. Donna, thank you for being a good neighbor. Chelsea Indian Wells looking for a cost-effective company who specializes in commercial refrigeration and ice machine repair. That is a specialty. Scott in Cathedral City needs to find 2 twin-size hospital mattresses. Norma at Rancho Mirage needs to find a periodontist. He's got a recommendation. And Deborah in Palm Desert needs to get rid of some flat-screen TVs. You know of an electrical disposal company in the valley.
If you like something, we want to hear about it. If you don't like something, we want to hear about it. Find Fred on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fred Roggin. You can also email thedesertdean@gmail.com. Dazzle us if you're there.
If GPT told you to leave your spouse, would you do it?
These dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover the unique stories that set our valley apart. Together, we're going to find inspiration and foster connections that strengthen the fabric of our community.
All right, what would you do if a friend called you and said your partner had been unfaithful? If your partner had cheated, I'm sure you would be crushed, and you'd have a lot of questions. Questions you'd want your friend who told you to answer. Would you want your computer to answer them?
From the world of AI.
So a husband and wife are having coffee, all right? Wife asks ChatGPT to interpret her husband's coffee grounds using a picture of his cup. Sounds like a cute idea. Until AI told her her husband was having an affair with a younger woman. AI determined that from looking at the coffee grounds that her husband was having an affair. Did she laugh? No. She filed for divorce.
From the world of AI.
Contributors tonight, Stephanie Miner and Tammy Bleck. Stephanie, what do you think of that?
I think that story is absolutely wild and embarrassing, and I cannot believe that it even happened. What about you, Tammy? What do you think?
I don't know. Can we just say the stuff out loud and say that's just crazy? I mean, something is going on there, and it's just not a very sound marriage. Am I right? Not a very solid one. And with regards to ChatGPT, user beware, right?
I don't understand if somebody takes a picture of coffee grounds and then can have the ChatGPT analyze it, and AI determines out of the clear blue, the husband denies it, they have kids, that he's having an affair with a younger woman, and then the woman goes, I'm divorcing you.
You know, if only life were that easy, that all we needed were coffee grounds to tell us what was going on. I mean, wouldn't that be awesome?
Or now, what about this? Could the AI have been in love with the lady and wanted the husband out of the way?
I don't think so.
scary.
I don't think that AI is conscious. I think that it just responds to what you put out. Maybe the wife had said something to it before and it kind of picked up what she was putting down in a past conversation. But no, I don't think AI has romantic feelings.
You know,
what about you?
No, I was going to say AI, Tammy, is known to make things up. It's called hallucinating. Why would the lady believe ChatGPT on something so serious?
You know, it doesn't speak well for our gender, so I'm going to say it has nothing to do with the fact that she's a female. She's just a little out there. And I think that she has some bigger issues, and perhaps that should be addressed. And I feel badly for the husband and the kids because, oh my gosh.
All right. We don't like to use statements when people send us statements on this show. Let me tell you why. Here's a story. Guy in LA needed a lung transplant, experimental, and he had to go to Chicago to get it. So his insurance company approved the flight. He got ready to go, but before he got on the plane, he was told the insurance company approved the flight, but not the procedure. Okay, so then he went to the media. There was backlash. Cigna changed course and approved the transplant. Then they released this statement. We understand that facing a complex disease or condition can be incredibly challenging, and we are glad that our established review process, designed to ensure that every patient gets a fair and objective determination of coverage, has resulted in an outcome where Mr. Wells will be able to receive this experimental treatment. And that, folks, is why we don't use statements here. If Cigna had been honest, probably would have said, you caught us, and because of the backlash, we're going to let you live, man. If you hadn't noticed, he'd be dead. That's why we don't run statements. They approved the flight without approving the procedure. Tammy, how often do you think something like that happens?
You know, that's a good question. I wonder what the real answer is. We will never know. That's for sure. I'm a little frightened because Cigna is my carrier for as well. So I'm thinking I need to pay real close attention to things like that. But is pretty much the right hand doesn't know where the left hand is doing. Am I right?
Yeah, Stephanie, when you hear this, what do you think?
I think this is yet another wild story that we're talking about tonight. Luckily, the man went to the media and people got behind him and he's still alive. I think that this probably happens more than we really realize, and that's a shame.
Okay, so there's a question about the experimental nature of this treatment. But do you think insurance companies should cover that? Or because it's experimental and your only chance to live, deny them, Stephanie?
No, I don't think that they should deny it. I think that they should. I understand that businesses need to make money, but it's not the right thing to do. And I think oftentimes people are led to suffer or actually die because insurance is trying to save money. And I don't agree with that at all.
Tammy, what do you think would have happened if Mr. Wells had not gone to the media?
Oh, I think he'd be dead right now, truthfully. I think we kind of all have that in the back of our head. But, you know, they have a big interest in letting these testings go, because the more they learn, the more they can help people and the less they'd have to spend. So I would think they would encourage that. If it's a test, we should support that just for many reasons.
All right. It's always pretty much sun time here in Palm Springs, no matter what time the clock says. And speaking of sun time, Chloe is at Disneyland today for a happiest place on earth version of super weather.
Yeah, they do. Hi, can't you stand all? I see that. Hello? 70th anniversary? What do you think the weather is? Sunny.
Go. Pretty problem hidden in our desert.
Hey, riddle me this. I have branches, but no fruit, trunk or leaves. What am I?
A lot of things we talk about here are things you tell us about. Andres Marquez told us about something that affects everybody in this valley, but few people ever consider. Andres joins us now. Andres, thanks for being here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You went through a spiritual awakening, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You basically gave up the things that were of monetary value and went through this awakening.
Yes, I'm currently still giving it up. It's very hard. There's still tools useful, but I am moving away from that into something new.
Okay, and what you're moving into basically is trying to correct something that doesn't please you. So you travel all through the desert, you travel all through the area, and what do you see? What have you found?
I go out in the desert. You might think that there's a little bit of trash out there, what you see on the roads, but when you go further into the desert, you find where people are dumping entire vehicles, tens and tens of tires at each little location. You'll find a lot of antifreeze, coolants, refrigerants, oils, motor oils, that is, plenty of appliances that are leaking whatever they are carrying. Just everything that you could think. And there's also the animals.
You have found dead animals.
Yeah, I found dead animals directed by some people in the 4x community. There's people out there being helpful, and they do know where most of it's at, but there is animals out there.
All right. So you've observed this and you want to do something about it. Who have you talked to? Have you talked to cities? Have you talked to the county?
I've talked to them, and the thing is, I don't want to single anybody out. I don't want to point fingers. You know, I'm out there and I'm going to be doing something about it regardless, and I don't want this to turn into too much time wasted and energy expended trying to make these phone calls, set up meetings, but I do try, and maybe it's a slow process, but it will get done. But I have talked to a few cities. I've been to a city meeting. They gave me a phone number who to talk to. I made appointments. I haven't heard back. But I'm not trying to blame nobody. You know what I mean? They may be busy, and I don't want to create more whatever that would be than we already have. You know, I just focus on the problem.
Okay. And ultimately, what would you like to see done?
I like to see it just, for the most part, all the trash picked up, everything clean. We got great views back together. We got no pollution. We don't have none of the what you see out there. We don't have none of these things because it's a huge problem. I don't even know where to start, actually. It's just like I don't want our children to grow up, because I just had a son, and I don't want him to grow up in a world where he sees things on the side of the road and it's just, that's a normal. You know what I mean? What I want to teach my son. I want him to see things, and why I want him to change things. And for the better of not just himself, but for everybody. And that's what I do want to see. Everybody in the community kind of come together, put aside all our differences, because those differences mean nothing in the greater scheme of things, you know? This is our world. This is what nurtures us, and we should probably take care of it. Because if we love our children, we should give them something. Once they see that people care, maybe they'll realize they're doing harm and change their ways. It's simple.
All right. Appreciate you coming in tonight. And thank you for exposing this and sharing it. And now maybe people will figure out a way to work together. Thanks for coming in, man.
Thank you.
All right. And your daily dose of cuteness when we return.
They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover the unique stories that set our valley apart. Together, we're going to find inspiration and foster connections that strengthen the fabric of our community.
The Roggin Report was presented by The Living Desert New Garden. They say dogs are a man's best friend, but at NBC Palm Springs, we're a dog's best choice for news. Apologies to our competitors, but even your dogs know who leads the pack in news.
Night after night, discover the unique stories that set our valley apart. Together, we're going to find inspiration and foster connections that strengthen the fabric of our community.
Babies are experts at paying attention to only what is genuinely fascinating, and we couldn't agree more. NBC Palm Springs News. Even astronauts tune in for their news.
I have branches, but no fruit, trunk, or leaves. What am I? A bank.
Okay. My conversation with Mary Strong actually went 15 minutes long. If you want to see the entire conversation and her thoughts about Mary Martin, big story on the website. See you tomorrow.